and welcome to Boomer City, USA. Just where is Boomer City, USA? Well, it's not a place really. It's that place where the Boomer generation lives, works, plays, and deals with life issues right here in this country. Right now, you're probably wondering why we're dressed like this. Marylou, tell them why we're dressed like this.
Well, we're dressed like this because in episode 1, we visited the museum at Bethel Woods, which is located in Bethel, New York, which happens to be the site of the original Woodstock Music Festival in 1969.
Oh yeah, and if you saw episode 1, it is an awesome place. So much to see there, so much to do there, and we ran out of time. But we promised you we'd bring you back the rest of our trip in episode 2, and so here it is right now. We're going to pick up right where we left off at the museum. It is a museum of the 1960s and the Woodstock Festival. Covers so much about that decade and more. So we're going to pick it up now where we left off, where we're going to go and visit the school bus, right?
The psychedelic school bus.
It's a 1950s authentic school bus, painted up psychedelic, but it does so much more because when you go inside the bus and sit down, well, you know what? We're not going to tell you about it. We're going to let you see for yourself. Let's go back to the museum at Bethel Woods.
Well, right now we're sitting on the bumper of a really groovy school bus, all painted up psychedelic, and inside I know you can see a movie, so you want to talk about that a little bit? This is like really
I think
cool.
It was Ken Kesey of the Merry Pranksters who said, "You're either on the bus or you're off the bus." at the Museum at Bethel Woods, you're on the bus. You get to sit on the bus, see a film about getting to the Woodstock Festival, and it's a great icon of the '60s. Whether you were in a commune and actually traveled around in one of these, or if you were a high school student like I was and fantasized about having one of those hippie buses, one of those psychedelic buses, that freedom to just get out on the road and freak people out. It's not an authentic hippie bus, I've got to admit. This is our paint job. It was created for the museum. But it is an authentic 1950s school bus that we found, I think, in Kansas. And when the guy who painted it for us was finished and it was all installed, it was bright and shiny, looked like it was right off of the showroom floor. And it looked beautiful, and he was so proud of it. And of course, our first comment is, it looks too new. It's got to look used. So he had to come back and make it look distressed. And of course, he was quite distressed. But it's
beautiful.
It really is. It's one of the icons of the museum. And it has slogans, flower power, make love, not war.
A big dove over here.
Yep. And it's loosely based on commune buses of the era, and the predominant commune was the Hog Farm, but also the Merry Pranksters. If you've read The Electric Kool-Aid Acid Test by Tom Wolfe, that was about the Merry Pranksters, and they traveled all over the west coast of California and Oregon and Washington State in 1965, basically having acid parties. LSD was still legal, and they hosted these public events where they just had a live band and they partied all night and promoted the use of LSD. And that kind of hastened the coming of hippies and Summer of Love and psychedelic music. That was sort of the first flowering of that whole movement, and this bus is kind of based on that. Another one of my favorite artifacts in the whole museum is this simple little paper plate. Remember, this is 1969. There's no text messaging, there's no cell phones. It's a crowd of 500,000 people. How do you find that beautiful woman that you just met, how do you find her again? So people would take any piece of paper they could find, like this paper plate, write a note and tack it to a tree, hoping that they will find that note. And I love this. To Cindy with the black hair and sister, I'm sorry I was too untogether to remember to ask for your address. Please call later in the week, Dan. And I have no idea if Dan and Cindy ever got together, but I love to just fantasize that maybe they did get together. Maybe Cindy saw the note, called Dan, they fell in love, got married, had lots of kids, and they're
Lots of kids who are texting.
they're texting now and
Or their
can't imagine
grandchildren,
leaving
yeah.
a note on a paper plate.
Wow.
But that plate just tells so many stories and asks so many questions.
So right now we're downstairs is there a name for the downstairs?
We call this the Special Exhibit Gallery.
Okay, and these are rotating exhibits,
Yep.
is that right, Ray?
We do about 2 or 3 a year. Some of them we create ourselves from our own permanent collections or from collections that we borrow from other people. This particular exhibit came to us from the Grammy Museum as a full-blown exhibit. And it features Jimi Hendrix, Janis Joplin, and the Doors.
Wow, cool.
And it's one of those killer exhibits because it has their instruments, their stage costumes. Something that's really special is a series of letters that Janis Joplin wrote home to her parents. And these are not reproductions, these are the real letters. And they really give an insight into a very troubled, tortured soul. It's a fascinating exhibit.
So we're standing here in front of a display of Jimi Hendrix and his guitars and one of his outfits, which I don't think I could get into. The guy was skinny. So you were saying Jimi Hendrix, Janis Joplin,
And Jim Morrison
all died?
when they were 27 years old.
Wow.
There's a very popular thing in rock history called the 27 Club. It started way back with Robert Johnson, the blues man. Eric Clapton sang about Crossroads. Well, Robert Johnson supposedly sold his soul to the devil at a crossroad in Mississippi to become a great blues man. He died at 27. And since then, Robert Johnson, Jimi Hendrix, Janis Joplin, Jim Morrison, Brian Jones of the Rolling Stones, Kurt Cobain of Nirvana all died at the age of 27. So there's, and a recent one, Amy Winehouse, 27. So that
wow.
magical age of 27 is the rock and roll end of the line.
That's creepy.
Yeah.
This is Donna Van Dunk. She's a volunteer for 3 seasons now, and she's told me that she was Volunteer of the Year in 2009. 800 hours you've put in?
Yes.
And you tell me that there's a docent program?
Yes, the museum has been and still is a self-guided tour. However, this year the volunteers put together what we call a docent program, and that consists of learning more in-depth material about the artifacts and the history of Bethel Woods and the concert so that we can do guided tours for anyone who's interested. We do it periodically. There's a little group of us and we're doing more trainings to enlarge it, but anyone that wants to know more is welcome to join in with us.
So the guided tours go on a regular basis all day, or is it just
No,
if
it's
people
just
want
once
one?
or twice a day.
Okay. Okay.
And if there's more call for it, we'll do it more.
That sounds great. And how many docents? That's an interesting
There
word. How many
are 10
you?
right now.
10,
and we're
wow.
training the next group over the winter season
That's
so that there'll be
great.
more.
Okay.
But it takes a lot of research.
I bet. Now, do you have a specialty or something like that?
We
each of
all
you?
have a favorite part that we do more in depth. Mine is the magic bus.
Okay.
Okay, and we have others
one of my
who-
favorite
I
displays, that
know.
bus.
We have another gentleman who loves the music, so he's researched the song lyrics and the history of the bands. But to each his own, of course.
That's cool. Thank you, Donna.
Thank you.
So we're back here in the event gallery, and I know there are smaller concerts here and also other types of events. How many people can this gallery hold?
For a sit-down concert, we hold around 400. And for a stand-up party, I think it's in the 200 range. For a sit-down dinner, I think it's in the 130 range. It's a great space for a bunch of different activities. We do school programs, wedding receptions, concerts, seminars and workshops. It's a pretty nice space to have those events too.
So once we leave here, I just want to talk a little bit about what's outside. I know there's a performing arts center where you have thousands and thousands of people can sit under cover and then out on the lawn.
Yep.
Then there's a smaller venue where they can sit outside.
We have a smaller concert venue that seats around 700 to 1,000. We haven't done anything on that particular stage for the last couple of years. It's a difficult stage to program because of weather and all that. We found that this space in here is a much more comfortable space, and the acoustics are
for
perfect.
A smaller concert.
Yeah.
Okay. So you're all connected. There's not a separate entity, and
right.
You're all part of the same Bethel Woods Performing.
The Bethel Woods Center for the Arts.
Center for the Arts. Okay. Bethel Woods Center for the Arts.
And the Center for the Arts includes the museum, the pavilion stage, which is the big concert venue, the Harvest Festival every fall.
Okay. So has that already happened?
That just wrapped up on Columbus Day.
Okay.
Or the Columbus weekend. And that's a farmer's market, an arts and crafts fair, and wine festival, and it's just a great event every year. Every year. We're also community outreach programs. We do a lot with the public schools. We do youth concerts, and we're trying to work with the community to bring creative expression and civic engagement to Sullivan County.
Wow. Now let me ask you something about the original Woodstock site, which I think is right
that way.
Is that way? Okay. Are there any events that are on the actual site, or is that like sort of hallowed ground where you can't do anything but just walk around and remember? I mean, you know, there's no buildings obviously on it. There's a plaque or a monument, but
we've committed to preserving that site because it is. Some people call it hallowed ground. I don't know that I'd put it in the same category as Arlington Cemetery or something like that, which is truly hallowed ground. But yes, it's a historic place, and we're preserving that field.
Okay. Let me just ask you one more question.
Sure.
Were you at Woodstock?
Ooh, you had to ask. I wish I could say I was. I was 15 years old, living with my parents in Memphis, Tennessee, and I was very aware of the festival. I wanted to be here. Of course, my parents wouldn't let me hitchhike across the country to see a concert. But it's funny, when I'm asked that question, I say we were all at Woodstock. And you know, it really is true that whether you were physically here or not, through the movie, the album, the whole idea of Woodstock, the whole world was at Woodstock.
Well, thank you, Abe.
My pleasure.
Been a pleasure. Was that groovy or what? We hope you enjoyed your trip with us back to Woodstock, the 60s, and all at the museum at Bethel Woods.
Yeah, and if you'd like to learn more about the museum at Bethel Woods, which is all part of the Bethel Woods Center for the Performing Arts, go to bethelwoodscenter.org. You'll get directions there, a lot more information about the whole facility, the concerts there throughout the year. And if you'd like to come as a group and not quite sure on how to do that, check with me and Marylou. We'll be able to help you out in doing that as well. Visit our website at tonyloutours.com. We'll all go out to Bethel Woods together and have a far out time. Marylou, where are we going in our next episode? What are we going to cover?
Well, we're going to go to... Never mind. Check in with us later to find out.
All right, that's it for now here in Boomer City, USA. See you next time. Bye-bye and
peace and love.
Yeah.